It was just after 9 p.m. when Marcus Hill, a tall, well-dressed black man in his late 30s, pulled his sleek black SUV onto the quiet streets of suburban Crestwood. Marcus was returning home from a long day of undercover work. To any onlooker, he looked like a successful businessman in a tailored suit. But beneath that calm exterior, he was something more. A DEA agent, trained to blend in and dismantle some of the most dangerous drug rings in the country. He adjusted the radio, already picturing his young daughter waiting for him at home. The night seemed uneventful until flashing red and blue lights appeared in his rearview mirror. Marcus sighed. Really? Again, he muttered under his breath. Being stopped wasn't new to him. He had lost count of how many times he'd been pulled over for driving while black. He signaled, pulled to the curb, and rolled down his window. Two officers stepped out of the cruiser. Officer Daniels, a stout man with a buzz cut, and Officer Reeves, younger, lankier, with an edgy nervousness about him. Daniels approached, hand resting on his holster. "License and registration," he said flatly. Marcus kept calm, speaking in the polite, steady tone he had mastered over the years. "Of course, officer." He handed over his documents without hesitation. But as Daniels glanced at the license, something shifted in his demeanor. His eyes flicked toward Reeves, and Marcus caught it immediately. A silent exchange. Something wasn't right. "Step out of the vehicle," Daniels ordered. Marcus frowned. "May I ask why, officer?" "I wasn't speeding. My tail lights are fine." And said, "Step out now," his instinct screamed. This wasn't a normal stop. He complied, keeping his hands visible. He'd seen too many situations escalate in seconds. Reeves circled around the SUV, peering inside. Meanwhile, Daniels leaned in close, his voice low. "Where you headed tonight?" "Home," Marcus replied evenly. "And where's home?" Daniels pressed, his tone sharpening. Marcus didn't flinch. "Crestwood Heights, just 10 minutes from here." Daniels smirked. "Nice car. Must be doing pretty well for yourself." Reeves called out suddenly, "Hey Daniels, look what we have here." Marcus turned just in time to see Reeves holding up a small plastic bag of white powder, claiming he had found it tucked under the passenger seat. Marcus's stomach sank, not from fear of the drugs. He knew they weren't his, but from the realization of what was happening. He had seen this tactic before. These officers weren't just doing their jobs, they were planting evidence. Daniels's grin widened. Well, looks like we got ourselves a drug runner." Marcus's jaw tightened. They had no idea who they were messing with. Daniels held the small bag between his fingers like it was the final piece of a puzzle he'd been waiting to solve. He looked at Marcus with mock satisfaction. "Guess this explains the fancy ride," he said. Marcus stood still, his face unreadable. Years of undercover training had taught him not to give away his thoughts. Inside, though, his blood was boiling. "That's not mine," Marcus said calmly. Reeves chuckled. "That's what they all say." He pretended to search further, ducking into the back seat. Moments later, he produced another bag, this one slightly larger. Marcus immediately recognized the sloppy trick. Stash planted in plain sight, designed to build a narrative. "Looks like distribution-level quantities to me," Reeves said with mock surprise. Daniels gave a low whistle. "Oh, this is a big catch. Drugs, expensive car, late-night cruising. I bet we just took a dealer off the streets." Marcus's eyes narrowed. They've done this before, he realized. Their routine was too smooth, their lines rehearsed. "Hands behind your back," Daniels ordered, reaching for his cuffs. Marcus hesitated. Revealing his true identity too soon could be risky. He didn't want to tip his hand until he was sure he could expose them fully. But if they hauled him in, the situation could spiral. "Officer," Marcus said evenly, "I think you're making a mistake." Reeves sneered. "Oh yeah? And what kind of mistake would that be?" Before Marcus could answer, Daniel snapped the cuffs on his wrists, tightening them until the metal bit into his skin. "Save it for the judge," Daniel said, pushing him toward the cruiser. As they shoved him into the back seat, Marcus scanned his surroundings. Across the street, he noticed a small convenience store with a security camera pointed directly toward where his SUV was parked. A sliver of relief flickered inside him. If that camera had been rolling, it might have caught Reeves slipping the drugs inside. Still, he remained silent. Inside the cruiser, Daniels radioed in. "Dispatch, this is Unit 47. We've got a male suspect, possession, with intent to distribute. Bringing him in." Marcus let out a slow breath. His cover identity wasn't something these men could brush aside. When the time was right, he'd reveal who he really was. And when he did, Daniels and Reeves would regret ever crossing paths with him. But for now, he waited, watched, calculated. Because one thing was certain. Tonight, justice wasn't going to be served in the station. It was going to be served right here, on this street. The cruiser rumbled down the empty streets, Marcus sitting cuffed in the back. Daniels whistled a tune while Reeves flipped through Marcus's registration papers. "Marcus Hill," Reeves read aloud. "No priors. Clean record. Huh, that'll change tonight." Daniels laughed. "Man, I knew this was going to be a good shift." "You just never know when you'll get lucky." Marcus leaned forward slightly, his voice calm. "You two are making a serious mistake." Reeves turned, smirking. "Oh yeah? What mistake's that?" Marcus met his eyes. "The kind that could end your careers?" For a split second, Reeves faltered. There was something unsettling about Marcus's confidence. But Daniels barked a laugh, brushing it off. "Big talk from a guy about to get booked," Daniels said. Marcus sat back, watching them carefully. He knew intimidation wouldn't work, but subtle hints, those could plant seeds of doubt. "You ever wonder," Marcus said slowly, "what kind of people drive SUVs like mine? What kind of jobs do they have? Who they know?" Daniel shot him a look in the rearview mirror. "Don't care. Money's money. Drugs are drugs." Marcus allowed a thin smile. "You sure about that?" The cruiser turned a corner, approaching the station. But before they could pull in, Reeves's radio crackled. "Unit 47. Report. Be advised. Internal Affairs is in the area tonight. Random patrol audits are ongoing." Daniels cursed under his breath. Marcus caught it instantly. So, these men were already nervous about oversight. That explained the rushed planting, the overeager performance. Marcus leaned forward again. "Internal Affairs, huh? You boys ever been audited before?" Reeves shifted uncomfortably. Daniels ignored him, eyes locked on the road. Marcus let his voice drop lower, steady and deliberate. "Because if they open my file, they're not going to find a street dealer. They're going to find someone a lot higher up the chain, someone you really don't want to mess with." The silence in the car grew heavy. For the first time, Marcus could feel the balance shifting. Daniels pulled into a dimly lit alley just shy of the station. He killed the engine and turned to Reeves. "We do this here. Clean it up before anyone sees." Marcus arched a brow. "Clean it up? Or cover it up?" Daniels snapped. "Shut up." but his voice betrayed unease. Reeves fidgeted. Maybe we should just take him in. The paperwork will back us. Daniels glared. And risk IA sniffing around? No way. We dump the extras. Keep it tight. Marcus chuckled softly. You really don't know who you're dealing with, do you? Daniels slammed the door open, yanking Marcus out of the back seat. One more word and... But Marcus didn't resist. He straightened, calm as ever. Then, with deliberate precision, he spoke the words that changed everything. Special Agent Marcus Hill. DEA, badge number 74,219. The alley went dead silent. Reeves blinked, stunned. DEA, no way. Marcus held his gaze. Reach into my jacket pocket. Left side. Slowly Reeves hesitated, then did as instructed. His hand trembled as he pulled out the leather badge wallet, flipping it open under the streetlight. The gold shield glimmered, unmistakable. Daniel's face drained of color. What the hell? Marcus stepped closer, his voice razor-sharp now. You planted evidence on a federal agent. Do you have any idea what that means? You didn't just break the law. You declared war on the very people who put men like you behind bars. Reeves stumbled back. Daniels, he's not lying. This is real. Marcus's eyes never left Daniels. And every second you keep digging this hole, the deeper you bury yourself. For the first time that night, Daniels looked rattled. Daniels stammered, This is a setup. You're lying. Marcus's voice was steady. That camera across from the stop. He nodded toward the street they'd come from. Recorded everything. The store owner's on my call list. Evidence is already secured. Reeves's face went pale. Daniels, we're screwed. Daniels cursed, pacing like a trapped animal. But Marcus pressed on, his words like a blade. You think this ends with a slap on the wrist? Planting drugs, falsifying evidence, unlawful arrest. You're looking at federal charges, years in prison, your badges, gone, your pensions, gone, your lives as you know them. Over Reeves broke first. I didn't want to do this, Daniels. It was your idea. His voice cracked, panic spilling out. Marcus tilted his head. Good. Confess now. It'll make things easier. Daniels lunged forward, but Marcus's reflexes were faster. Even cuffed, he sidestepped, slamming Daniels into the cruiser with a force that rattled the frame. Reeves jumped back, hands raised. You're insane, Daniels hissed. No, Marcus said, deadly calm. I'm patient. And tonight, patience paid off. Moments later, backup arrived. Real officers, summoned by a silent distress beacon, Marcus had activated in his SUV before stepping out. The alley flooded with flashing lights. Internal affairs agents emerged, their eyes locking on the scene. 2 local cops, panicked and cornered, and 1 DEA agent standing tall. Marcus finally allowed himself a deep breath. Daniels and Reeves were cuffed, the irony not lost on Marcus. As IA read them their rights, as the chaos unfolded, Marcus glanced at the night sky. He thought of his daughter, of the lessons he'd someday share with her about justice, resilience, and standing firm even when the odds seemed stacked against you. Justice wasn't always swift. It wasn't always clean. But tonight, it had found its way. And as Daniels and Reeves were dragged away, Marcus climbed back into his SUV, free at last. He whispered to himself, wrong guy, wrong night. Then he drove off into the quiet streets, heading home. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world. and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned, because more amazing stories are on the way.